everyone. Welcome to the She's a 10 times 5 show. I'm Lori, and my friends Michelle, Randy, Marcia, and special guest hosts are mixing it up and joining me to do what girlfriends do best, chat from the heart. Whether it's celebrity stories or serious topics, we're talking about it and coming in hot. Join us as we bring you the aha moments of learning, reflection, inspiration, and of course, a whole heck of a lot of fun. Let's go. This episode is brought to you by...
Are you looking for a story that will motivate and inspire you to be the best version of yourself or have a positive impact on those around you? Hi, I'm Vince Shiano, author of the Amazon best-selling memoir, Always Forward, a story of perseverance and determination in the face of life's challenges. Also, something very near to my heart, my story through organ donation. From the streets of Pamplona running with the bulls to the Pittsburgh Transplant Care Unit, I think that you'll enjoy a powerful book that will also hopefully motivate you to register and become an organ donor. Get your copy today at Amazon or listen to it on Audible or iTunes. Please enjoy the podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to She's a 10 times 5. I am Low Jabs.
I want a name. I'm Michelle, but I don't have like a...
Shelly.
No, well, my family calls me Shelly. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Auntie Shelly.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, that secretly watches lacrosse games when she thinks no one's looking.
Okay.
I'm on to you. I'm on to you. Yeah. Okay, we've got a great guest and a twist at the end of this episode, I believe.
Yes.
I'm going to let you tee it up because this is your relationship. You know Ari really well. Fire away.
Yes, we're so excited. We have Ari Zucker in the house. In the house, is that what they say? What? For anyone who doesn't know Ari, she's been, I think it's been 25 years on Days of Our Lives. She plays the crazy Nicole Walker.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, nuts. Look, those storylines are crazy, which we're going to definitely have to get into. And she's so wonderful. And she is actually our surprise guest, which we'll just say is going to be joined by Shawn Christian, who is her fiance. He played Dr. Daniel Jonas on the show. But they have a life coaching business called Aloha Life Coaching. It's really great what they're doing. And they're building this, they're building this business. And we want to talk about that. So we want to get into a little bit about the days, all the soap opera, juicy gossip and their business and, wherever else the conversation leads us.
Yeah, I can't wait because, that's a business. Like the soap opera lane is something else. And so I cannot wait to get underneath that hood. And I'm going to see if she's going to talk about her Trump thing, where she was the collateral damage and that whole Billy Bush.
Yeah, she'll go there. I mean, she's so open and
well, I'm curious as a woman, like when you're kind of not involved, but you're involved, and I want to get her lens as if she felt she needed to stand up as being a woman. So, all right, we're gonna do this.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. Welcome, Ari. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I hear we have a special guest coming towards the tail end of this.
We do. Let's keep it a little secret before we share it.
I love secrets.
Right?
Okay.
Who loves a good secret?
Amazing. Well, Michelle, I'm going to let you kind of tee up the conversation because you have had many discussions with Ari and you guys have a very good rapport and relationship. So one of the things that we love to do, Ari, is to do a little storytelling and to kind of take people through the journey of what got you where you are today. So Michelle, I'm going to hand you the baton and you get this thing started. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I had the pleasure of getting to know Ari through interviewing her because I was a huge Days of Our Lives fan. And so, yes. And so who to go to? You have to go to like the GOAT, which was Ari. She played Nicole Walker. And so I had a chance. And then I got to know her and her heart and her beautiful story. And so we just, created this friendship, and she's a contributor for Ask Us Beauty. But for anyone listening right now, watching, listening, I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey, like how you got started even into acting, and kind of and dive into those years of Days of Our Lives and how
Oh my gosh. Yes, I would love to. I love sharing these stories because I definitely feel like, even though all our stories are different, we all have some sort of really like little kid drama and trauma, growing up and kind of figuring out who we are, especially our teenage years. I have a teenager right now, and so I'm sure so many of you can relate. It is such a tough time, and that was a really hard time for me discovering who I was. But I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to ride horses my whole life and figure out what job I was going to do and just be surrounded by animals. So jumping into this industry, I have no idea how I got here, but it just goes to show you with a lot of work and a lot of commitment to yourself, you really can get to where you want to be. So when I was younger, I was so insecure. I didn't know how to speak up for myself. I didn't have a voice. But I knew that animals they were everything to me. They were, they're just so naive in that way, right? And they're so giving, and so they're just there for you. And that's how I sort of grew up. Horses grew me up. They raised me, I should say. But so as I started that journey, it was back in the time when they were still scouting for models. And I was 16 years old, and I was roller skating in Venice Beach with some friends. And I was handed a card for a modeling agency saying, "Come in, we'd love to see you." It happened to be, I don't think the agency is still there anymore, but It Models. And I asked my mom if I could start going. And she said, "Well, you can do it in the summer and on your breaks, but you're not allowed to miss school." That was the big thing. So, which I appreciated. At some point, I won a modeling contest my senior year of high school. I was runner-up, and I got to go to Paris. So took off to Paris at 18 years old. Scared myself so badly because it was such a language barrier, and I came home in 3 weeks. But anyways, the process started. I was able to get a commercial agent, and I started studying acting, and I traveled all over the place and started to gain my confidence as a young woman, because now really you're on your own. One of the biggest things my mom did for me was she armed me with knowledge, because when you're traveling all over the world, you need to be smart, and you need to watch your back, and you need to make sure that you are taking care of you, because you are the only one taking care of you when you're traveling. Modeling industry is a whole other conversation we could have at some point, but it is true. You are taking care of you. And it really gave me the strength to say, okay, what do I want to do with myself? So I decided to go back to vet school. I was taking my horse husbandry classes at Pierce College in Woodland Hills in Southern California. And I happened to get an audition, started auditioning for soap operas, and Days of Our Lives was my second audition. I flailed at it. I was terrible. But they called me back 4 months later. And that was at a time they were still doing nationwide auditions for characters on soap operas. So I'm in awe. But that 4 months, I definitely honed in on my acting, and was able to get the job. And I thought, wow, I have a 3-year contract. I could save all this money, and I could finish and go to college, finish Texas A&M or UC Davis was where I wanted to do my veterinarian schooling. And my 3-year contract turned into another 3-year contract, and 25 years later, here I am, still working on the show, and now developed, our coaching company with my fiance, and Shawn Christian. And so we've had that for 3 years. So this is sort of where that's the short version of my journey to today.
Wow. Well, I have to ask you because, I grew up when I was in elementary school and junior high. Soap operas were the thing. Like we lived and died by Days of Our Lives, General Hospital. Don't even get me started on Luke and Laura. I was obsessed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that still the case now? Do you have those groupies that are just so enmeshed with your character and your show that
we do. The line is drawn. Like, I know my name is Ari and my name is also Nicole.
Oh, wait, I was going to say, I just texted my husband. He was like, hey, what are you doing? And I said, I'm getting ready to jump on with Ari. He's like, tell Nicole I said hi. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's hard because that's how you identify. Like, we know you as Nicole Walker.
Yeah, absolutely. And that has been a thing for me, right? So I've always had to go, okay, my mindset, I have to always know if I hear Nicole, I have to remind myself to turn around, because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's people that, that's how they know me. But it's a pleasure and an honor to have so many people. And when you ask if there were, groupies, yeah, we still have, I think our generation, and even still some generations of families who keep Days of Our Lives, especially as part of their viewing, and they do it together. It's as a family. It's so wonderful. It's still so wonderful to see little ones watching our show. And I know our show is, we are the first one to start streaming on Peacock. And so, now I think the difference is our comparison is more like Bridgerton than it is the other soap operas. But I feel like we've come so far, and that we've been in how we started out, when you really arranged your schedule around the soap opera that you wanted, that you loved. I mean, that's impressive, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you hear that all the time. Oh my gosh, I scheduled all my classes around, Days of Our Lives or General Hospital or whatever it was. And there is a special community there. I think there's a special camaraderie. And I think when we see fans at fan events and they tell their stories, and they've created relationships because of these fan events, and because they have unified for their characters or the whatever team couple they want, and that becomes their common denominator. And it is so wonderful just to see the relationships that have grown. It's really, really special. Okay, pardon my chair real quick.
You're fine.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Yeah. One of my favorite movies was, and I don't even know why I'm bringing this up, but I think you'll relate to it, Tootsie.
Oh, yeah.
And like, so all the crazy shenanigans that go on behind the scenes with filming the soap operas and whatnot. Is that kind of accurate, true to form there?
Well, I mean, they definitely dramatize it a little bit, but I love the parody. I would say it's more a parody than anything else. I'm sorry, moving. You're all going to plug my computer in with me. Are you ready? Come with me while I plug in my phone.
Ari.
I'm so sorry. This is like the total glitches when you have to do these shows. I'm so sorry.
It's life.
Didn't do that. It's life. Here we go.
It is life. Yeah.
That was talent right there. Did you see that? Sheer talent. But the parody of these shows is so great. I mean, Soap Dish was my other one. That was really, really, I loved Soap Dish. But there was a lot of that. Look, soap operas were how the nighttime soaps started. I mean, Dynasty, Dallas, we're the reason, those shows. And I think those parodies and Tootsies, like, I feel like that's more like, it's based off of those as well, because it's the acting style. I feel like the acting style was made like the 1940s movies. Like, everything was very dramatic, much like all those classics. It's just the difference is it's grainy, it's on film, it's, and you didn't make fun of it. Like, Sunset Boulevard, for instance, it's like, I'm ready for my close up, Mr. DeMille. And it was an era, it was a thing. And I feel like that soap operas are the same way. I mean, people might make fun of them, but if you're still making fun of them, that means we did something right, because that means we're, it's like the meaning between love and hate. If you love something and hate something, you're still affecting someone to some degree, and so that's how I feel like soap operas are. If you're making fun of us, it means you're still watching them. So it's good.
That's right.
It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many years? I mean, there's nothing else like that. Shows don't last like soap operas do.
They
I mean,
don't.
it's a main staple of our programming. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. We had a little conversation very short with Ron Moss.
Oh, Ron, I love Ron. He's
And
so great.
he was saying just what you kind of said, was that it was like living dual lives. And he also had 18 marriages.
Yeah.
Well, yes, Ari's had
That's how
two.
long he went
Ari
on
has
as a
had
character.
few.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about when you're running, sometimes when we're running our dialogue just in dry block, or we're just blocking our scenes, and I'll literally start laughing. I'm like, can you imagine having this conversation in a bank? You know, like, how dare you sleep with my sister's brother's cousin's uncle? And it's just like, it is hilarious. But once you get dressed and you start filming and everything, it is way out there. It's comedic, but it is but they do touch upon serious things and whatnot, and and you're always wondering what your person is going to do. You feel like your favorite characters. I mean, I don't know. It's just a wonderful place for people to escape.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
I was mentioning that to Ron too, about it's the memories. Like, I had so many years of watching soap operas with my mother, and then even like through my college days and even past the college days, like all my guy friends were obsessed with Days of Our Lives. Like,
yeah.
So those I hang on to. I love those memories.
They're great memories, and that's what we want to create in life, right? We want to be able to create things that make us feel good, and those moments when, especially, I always feel like that with soap operas, and when I talk to the wonderful fans that come out to meet us, and you hear this. I was in the hospital for something. They were in there for 3 weeks, and your story really affected me and made me feel like I wasn't the only one. Or, you just get really touching stories. And when you really sit down with people and we call them fans, but they really are, we're humans. We're humans that want to be able to sit down and relate to something that makes us either feel good, or something that goes, thank God that person I can relate to that person, or that person is going through something that I've gone through. I just love that. I love that because it does keep that connection that I know we were briefly speaking about, of maintaining humanity, which we've lost with all our little phones and streaming and things like that. So where technology is really, really great, technology also fails us, So, but the soap opera world, I feel like, never fails. Ever.
Well, I just want to mention one batshit crazy video I saw, because I went through just to kind of, in preparation for our discussion today. I'm going to go in and look now.
Yeah.
The scene where the gal had the mask on that was your face, and she ripped it off, and I was riveted.
Kristen, yes.
Yes. Was that the most craziest scene that you've done? Like, that was nuts.
She is a troublemaker, that character. Yes. Oh my gosh. We had, when we got that script, we're like, we're doing, okay, all right, here we go. I can justify paint drying on the wall. Let's do this. But I thought it was pretty well done. I had to lay, oh my God, when I was getting that mask put on so she could wear, Stacey Heidock is the actress that plays Kristen. I had to get that mask done and molded, and I am totally claustrophobic, especially underwater, not in the closet or anything, but like in the water, I'm so fearful. So getting that casing put on was really, really hard, but I made it through. But it looked really good, and I thought they did the scene really well. I thought the way, like, crumbling it up, and it worked out. I mean, considering that we don't have all these special effects or anything,
right?
That we were able to kind of pull it off. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought Stacey did such a great job, and I loved being able to play Kristen for a little bit, because the character is so freeing. You can do whatever you want. It's just awesome.
So, just for the listeners and viewers, this was a scene in which the characters weren't the characters. They had masks on, but You gotta go look on YouTube or whatever.
I can't even explain it.
It's really spectacular. And that drew me in, and I thought, God, I want to be Ari. Like, that is fun.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a wonderful job. And, it's given me a lot of ability to grow as an actress and to really just, hone in on my craft. And we've had a lot of film people come and work on our show and be like, how do you guys do this every day? And so it's definitely not for the faint of heart. That is for sure.
Okay. So you kind of teed it up for us. Mm-hmm. Connectivity. You're doing something pretty spectacular that I would like to dive into. And I spoke with Michelle, and Michelle, you add in on whatever you think. I think this is such a great topic because so many of us are leaning into becoming reconnected, so to speak, because I think we went through a period of time where we stepped back a little bit. And as you mentioned, we have our devices to get in the way. But wellness and focusing on our mental and emotional well-being, our emotional well-being with our partners or spouses and in relationships. Let's dive into that because I think it's a huge now topic that we're all trying to rediscover and discover more of.
I am so in love with this topic. One, because I really like to always go back to love. Love is something I feel like we constantly have to remind our own personal selves, because I always like to take it back to the individual. If we're not loving ourselves, how do we expect to love anyone else, anything else, anything in this world? And to love constantly helps us better who we are as individuals. And creating a loving relationship with yourself for me is a number one on my list. And I came from a very, I would say, spicy mother. So she's Spanish Russian. So there was a lot of hot temper in my house. And to learn how to respond to things instead of react to things was something that took a lot of work on my part. And then discovering like how to love who I am instead of to react about who I am. And there's a big difference there, right? Is a lot of it is when we're discovering who we are as a person, truly, we have to remind ourselves that the person that and the mentors and the parents and the teachers and the coaches that we have had all our lives really helps define who we are now. It takes us to decide to define who we are as a person now, that we have the opportunity to decide how we want to live, how we want to see things, view things, love things. And it's a really, it's a very new way to view things, but it's what I work on a lot, not only with myself, but through our coaching company, with our clients, with our corporate clients, with our retreats. And it's a difficult thing I know we talk about it a lot, but it's a difficult thing to sort of master, to go, I understand, like, when we're little, we're always told what to do and how to behave and how to live. And then, that happens through our whole life. And then we get to college and we graduate and we're ready to go to work. And we're like, oh, so there's no one there to tell us what to do anymore. And you sort of flounder in your late 20s, your mid to late 20s, right? Until you hit your 30s. I mean, we can walk through the whole process. You finally just start to discover who you are in your 30s. And then your 40s, I feel like, especially as women, when I turned 40, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm finally starting to understand who I am. So to have to reinvent really communication and what it means to be human and communicate with each other, I think it's a topic. It should be a hot topic, because to reinvest the energy into that instead of investing the energy into how people are just vying to survive without a team. Michelle and I were just talking, and Amy, we were all talking about how important it is to collaborate now, to really help lift each other up. And I know as women, we've been talking about that for years, but collaborating now as businesses to continue success. But it's not just about success, it's about the communication value within the collaboration. Am I talking too much?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Love it.
No.
All of it.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't know if you'll agree with this, Ari. I mean, Michelle's heard me say this till I'm blue in the face. I feel like my generation, and I'm just about 54, I feel like we did a real shit job with supporting other women. I feel like we were our own worst enemies. And I think somewhere along the lines, and I think you're right, I think at like 40-ish, you start to realize, man, we're all kind of a little bit fucked up. A little bit, right? We've kind of, and it's not that you take pleasure in knowing that, but it gives you the ability to be vulnerable. And I think we have pivoted, and now we're at the point where we're like, we're gonna do it different. We're gonna pay it forward, and we're gonna start locking arms in a major way. And I think part of that is investing. How many people have personal trainers? How many people, spend money on all of these things? But yet now I think we're finally getting to the point where we recognize the most important thing is how we feel about ourselves, right? And taking the time to invest in that.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of my lines is, invest in living the best you. And that can mean anything, and as we start to, if you have kids, I feel like our generation of kids are so lost in their phones. If I do my daughter a disservice, if I'm not creating the best me, so therefore I can help her be the best her, I'm still going to have a daughter that knows how to, write in handwriting. A daughter who is going to be so well-rounded because she's, she's learned how to take it upon herself to help her peers and to understand her peer language. So a lot with our conversation that we have as mother and daughter, she takes that language back to her peers and redefines it so that she creates a great friend group. Mm-hmm. And now she has an incredible female friend group, and boys too, but really is a friend group filled with communication and sharing, because we talk about the important topics of what these unbelievable challenges are on social media, that kids are the choking challenge or whatever these kids are doing that create either a heightened suicide level or things like that, where the communication is so important to help women, especially. Not that men aren't, right. But I think women have a natural ability to communicate. And so we become teachers. So everything I see now, I'm like, these are such beautiful teaching moments, whether it's with her friend group or with my position at work. I'm more than just an actress at my job, right? I like to be a liaison of communication, so people feel like they can trust if they're new, or if something's going on, or somebody's dealing with something. I want them to know that there is a line of communication, and I am more than happy to be that person to help lift you into that direction that you need to go. I think it's so important. And so women have a huge superpower, and we let other things define us because we're so emotional. So we think emotionally, but that motion, I would say, take that emotion and use it as your superpower, because we have such a strength. And then when we're in groups of women, we literally, I feel like, could lift a building.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that wasn't taught to us.
No.
But I'm trying to do that now with my daughter and the people around me. And I think that now's the time. Why not? Why not create and collaborate and be a part of? And I know these women groups are great. And so, that are, I can't think of a couple of names right now, but, you have luncheons and you have all these great CEOs come in. But to really how do we do things together too, to create a voice that's going to change and make a difference?
I'm going to ask you something controversial, because what you just said was very, very powerful. And I'm tracking with you 110%. Yeah. You had a situation where you were collateral damage. All right. This is the infamous Billy is it Billy Bush or
Billy Bush? Yeah.
Billy Bush. He's off the radar. We don't even remember his first name. And
Yeah.
Donald Trump. And you kind of anecdotally were brought into some of the rhetoric, and it became this thing with regards to some of the things that, candidate President Bush. Did you get a lot of, like, I'm trying to figure out how to even say that.
Yeah.
Did you feel responsibility, or did you feel pressure as a woman to stand up, even though you did nothing, again, collateral damage? Did you feel that as a woman that, okay, I need to come out and say something, or that pressure to really kind of take that on?
Well, I can walk you through sort of the, of how I felt when this was happening. When it first happened, I got to read the transcript first. And I have to tell you, I come from a generation where words don't hurt me. I'm just not hurt by if someone calls me a name or something like that. I just don't have that in me. Once I started that, and I actually, an article from the Washington Post that never came out the second time around because it wasn't about what they wanted me to talk about. I had brought up, try modeling, try going into the modeling world, and the men overseas and how they treat women there. That is a conversation. This, to me, when it first came out, I thought it was a little like, oh, okay, is it serious? Let's see how big it is. And so when it came out, one of the biggest things is what I realized, and what Shawn and I, my fiance, talked about as we're watching this unfold, was this has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. It was all about this political, thing that's going on that we don't need to get into. But so when I really realized I need to protect myself, because again, this was not this. People jumping over my fence and trying to get an interview and networks and all that. Nobody really cared about me as an individual. They just wanted to make sure that everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. So me as the individual woman had to say, how do I make sure that I keep my power and nobody takes it? And so I made, when I went on Anderson Cooper, I did a little thing on NBC, which kind of got cut completely, but it was like a 3-minute segment. I chose to go on Anderson Cooper, and just to let my family know, or people know, and fans know, I'm okay. Mm-hmm. So the questions that were answered, because I'm only going off of what you asked me, because I need to be honest. I'm not a liar, and I'm not going to make stuff up. So and because nothing happened to me directly, there was nothing for me to be getting an uproar about, right? Because I had to preserve myself, my family, and my values. And so that was my interview with Anderson Cooper, is just, I made sure that it was about my family and me, and moving on and continuing to be the woman I can be. And when I discover what this was supposed to teach me, because I want to take any kind of trauma, or I think it was more traumatic for more women than it was for me. So how do I take my trauma that other people are feeling and turn it into a triumph? So that was my whole goal out of, and continues to be, out of this crazy situation that I just happened to be in the middle of. Right? Because if you go back in history, all I did was go to work. I showed up when the bus showed up. They asked me to host it. I hosted it. I worked with Donald Trump. And then I did the rest of my scenes and I went home. So, so for me to go, okay, so how do I look at this situation and do something good with it, not something bad? So, so that's a little bit of how we discovered our company and our organization and what we're doing now, and creating collaborative relationships with people. I think that's probably the best thing that I could have done, or at least that I knew that I could do. And then I was so, I was afraid of also losing my job. Yeah. If I didn't do it right. I thought if I don't do this right, then And then I was like, you know what? So I'm going to do? I'm going to do what's right for me.
I love that. I love that you handled it your way.
Yeah.
You didn't let anybody tell you how you were gonna handle it, and then you turned it into something great by starting Aloha Coaching and doing it. You really that is empowerment.
Yes, I agree, and I think I am. By the way, there are some amazing, wonderful men out there. So when that Me Too movement was going on, I'm like, hold on, we need to still lift up the incredible men that there are, and one of them being my fiance, Shawn, and he has been an angel in my life, and I'm Michelle, your husband, and I just you try to go, wait, there's not all bad people in the world. Mm-hmm. We just seem to highlight them all.
Yep.
So if we stopped highlighting all the bad people, maybe
I know. I could talk about it all day. We just had a call earlier, and I was like, that media, there's so many wonderful things about it, but there's the whole other side that is just that's constant. How stories are spun, and just like you said, there's an article that they just decided not to run because it wasn't the narrative that they wanted to tell.
It was the second time around when Trump was running again. And I'm like, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say that you're going to want to hear. And
I remember you telling me the phone was like blowing up. Like, wasn't it just like, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. But, you do have to do what's right for you and your family and in your immediate environment. And that's, what, Michelle, it's like when I'm now meeting you beautiful ladies and having these conversations, and this is what it takes. And I hope that we inspire ladies to go, you know what, I'm going to do this to create a great environment for myself. And I think, again, I know that we're losing that a little bit, and it's a little bit of a battle to kind of create this, but you know what, it's got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
sure does.
Ari, let's talk about your coaching, because I think that coaching is like, there's a lot out there. There's the wellness front, there's the relationship, the health, and there's a lot. Tell me about what you guys are zoning in on and what the target consumer would be. Any age group, specific age group?
Absolutely. So it takes a little bit of time to define where you're going with your company. And I think Shawn and I this year, we will be going into year 4 with our company. And we have really taken the adventure aspect, sort of your outdoor adventure, your nature, trying to, literally finding your true nature out in nature. So one of our biggest ones is our retreats. So we coach through outdoor adventure. And we believe it's a way that removes stress if you're sitting in a room or on a Zoom call. I mean, because we have clients internationally. And so we had one of our clients fly in from Europe to do one of our retreats. And it just releases a lot of tension when you're working through things and trying to create goals in your life that you want to manifest. So we really honed in on that portion of it. We also, Shawn had developed online courses. And a lot of people don't want to do one-on-one coaching. They want to kind of build because they're nervous or they're scared or they're embarrassed of their life, or they quite frankly just don't have the money and to sit with a coach consistently. And so he's taken these online courses, and we're now moving those courses into a youth empowerment program. So he goes into the schools and speaks. And the one thing that's really interesting about a lot of schools is they have their coaches or they have a mentor come in and speak, much like my daughter had one. And this is such a great example. She goes, "Mom, we had this speaker come into school today. And he was amazing." And I'm like, "Oh my God, who was he?" And, I'd love to look him up, and that's so cool. And she's like, Keith, somebody, I don't remember. I'm like, okay. Typical kids, typical middle schooler. And I said, "Oh, well, what did he say that made you feel so good?" She's like, "I don't know. I don't remember, but I just felt good when I left." So part of these now what we're doing is creating follow-up courses for our youth and students to be able to learn the language that Shawn is speaking, so that when you hear the courses and with the worksheets, you can help better your peer-to-peer relationships. Because the biggest thing in education is, we don't speak our kids' language anymore. They have their own new language.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can teach them how to find their own language, because really coaching is about you giving someone the tools to create their own life. We're not counselors, we're not therapists, we're not telling you what to do, or we're not waiting for you to discover it. We're helping you and guiding you along the way on discovering it in a much faster pace, right? We don't hang on trauma. We discover where it is and we turn it into the triumph, right? So we also now we're collaborating with these and other companies, much like Adora at the Soul Institute, and Shawn and Adora will be doing these immersive retreats, one being for couples and one being for singles. So one is on May 6th for couples and one is on May 7th, and it touches upon love, right? So we do a lot of but our messaging is always the same, right? It's really discovering who you are as an individual and falling in love with yourself, right? You are not the canvas anymore. You are the creator. And so it really what it does for a lot of the youth is personal responsibility. And it's about taking personal responsibility for your choices in life.
Man, I love that.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend she's very spiritual, and she's done a lot of work. She studied at USC a few years, and she's a little bit woo-woo.
Yeah.
But in a good way. I mean, very provocative thought-provoking types of conversations I have with her. And one of the things that we talked about, and you said it, was you have to do the right thing for yourself. And the biggest betrayal of all is, in my opinion, when you betray yourself. And I think when you can provide people a platform to have communication and be heard, I think that's one of the most powerful things you can get out of these retreats and being part of a wellness group, is actually to have a platform to be heard. I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We are moving so fast in this world right now I feel like that's the lack. There is so many mental health issues going on right now for so many people, and that people are getting so lost. Our youth is getting lost in their transitions in their life, and it is a true mental health issue. And until we start allowing people to be heard on a level that is without anger, and that's the hardest part.
Or judgment.
Judgment, anger, fear. They're so prominent right now. And so that looking within yourself it has to be, you have to look in the mirror before you walk out the door and start pointing fingers and blaming the reason your life is this way. Now, obviously, if you're under the age of 18, you're going to have a more difficult time, right? Which is what our youth empowerment program is so important about. I also have a nonprofit called Arrow Heart Adventure Camps. I started that, co-founded that with my brother in 2007. So when we started that program, we were doing the same thing, but in more rural areas, for impoverished areas that just don't have a lot of money,
Ari, when not to interrupt, but when you say we, are you talking about this guy?
Shawn Christian.
Wow, there's a pop-up. I love it.
Yeah, I interrupted her and everything. You command that type of,
Wow.
He does.
Yeah, it works like that at home too. I can just interrupt, and boy, it's just when she's speaking, I just listen. Yeah.
Welcome, Shawn Christian, formerly known as Dr. Jonas.
Yeah. I tried a couple of things via the phone, but I'm here.
I love it. We were just talking about, our company and our nonprofit organization that Shawn did jump into, and became a mentor and speaker for our company. And how we've translated it into our Aloha Life Coaching. And we were getting into sort of the youth aspect of speaking and taking responsibility for yourself. And anyway, so I'm just gonna throw it at you, babe.
I'm gonna just jump in and answer any questions.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah. Definitely about taking personal responsibility, personal accountability, and it's constant work in progress right here. So 100%, I practice what I preach for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about how we've developed your program for your courses, and we've in age range wise, we're literally anywhere from 11 to 80 years old, because it all encompasses, no matter how old you are between there, it is always really about, it's your journey, your decision, your choice to create the life that you want to create, right?
Absolutely.
And so when we were going sort of through the youth program, or anyone sort of, I was saying, when you're under the age of 18, it's a little harder to take control of your life, because you may or may not be living in a parental situation, but you still can gain the tools. So when to help yourself an emotional state, to handle a situation that could be good for you, maybe a healthy family relationship, or may not be, but it works either way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when I was first doing them, we were certainly talking to people about, we're going through transitions, because we work and coach people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And then I have a gentleman who's in his 60s, approaching 70 after this meeting, who still, he's done everything. It's like I'm coaching, but literally Barack Obama. He looks like Barack Obama. This guy is the head of all of these huge institutes, and he's been a VIP in all these corporations, runs a nonprofit, speaks at Stanford. And I'm like, what do you need? What do you need my help for? But it literally is, he's still looking for more purpose, and he has the passion, and cancer survivor, unbelievable story. So, but all of these courses are applicable. But to the youth empowerment aspect of it, if we can adopt these things younger, this sense of not navigation. I'm really reluctant to say self-control, because I'm like, no, we can't just control ourselves. We're going to navigate the hardships that come our way. And when you can get someone who's in that youth group who goes, wow, wait, my thoughts don't own me, I own my thoughts. Yeah, you do. And then they're able to prove to themselves slowly, just imagine, certainly for me, I'll speak for myself. If I had that wherewithal to go, wait, I am the creator of my life. I'm not the victim of my circumstances, which I would never say necessarily, but it was so easy to go, oh yeah, my life is this because of that, because of that, because of that. You'll be banging your head on the wall the moment you take responsibility off yourself. I'm not suggesting that people aren't culpable, and certainly from a youth perspective, there are people who have very difficult situations. There are people who live in a desert in a hut with no food in a third world country. Completely different situation, right? But even talking, to talk with them, and you see them light up when they realize that wait, I have an opportunity to create the quality of my life. Yeah, you do. Yeah, but I got all of these experiences. Okay, I'm with you 100%. And we get in the trenches with everybody we work with, of course. I'm like, great. What do we want to do with it? Right? So we have circumstances. I'll have stuff that'll happen this week, right? That'll be like, oh my gosh. And I'll go, but what do I want to do with it? That's up to me. Mm-hmm. And people clients who've had unbelievable trauma, like things you can't imagine another human being would do to another human being, right? And watching her light go on and go, wait, I don't have to carry that? No, you don't. But the thing is, look, I'll never discount anything that ever happens in anybody's past. Those experiences are yours. The 100% are yours, right? So I'm not changing the story. What I'm interested in watching you create a new narrative about the story that you've lived. And when you see people do that, and there's big shifts, of course, and small shifts, right? I'm in the habit of now, when something comes my way, I can go, I won't be stuck in it for 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, or even 5 minutes now. Mm-hmm. I'll have it. It'll hurt. It'll sting. I'll take it on the chin. But I now know how to navigate, to use the better word, rather than control, how to move forward with my authentic self, my true voice. and how am I going to create an experience, a beautiful one, a beautiful state for me.
I gotta ask.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask this question.
She has the look of a Cheshire cat right
No,
now.
I have to think, because there's so much output, right, that you're giving. What are you getting back? I mean, you must walk away. You're talking about young, all ages, but even like from the youth standpoint, like, what are your takeaways having these years now of opportunity of being able to hear people's stories? What are those? What are you walking away with?
God, that's such a great question, and it is in alignment with what I value dearly. These are kind of my benchmarks. Like, is this experience enriching, not just for me but for them? Is it elevating? Like, are we going up or are we going down? Yeah, okay, cool. Is this empowering for them? Yeah, and when you can see that light, I do get a remarkable feeling of joy, of purpose. Like I'm making a difference somehow. Those bigger takeaways for me are invaluable. That's what I constantly get, which actually pushes me to work harder in the mornings. Like when I got to have my me time, I encourage everyone to do that, to go, gosh, you need to study more. You need to learn more. You need to understand the human condition even more, which I've done for 30 years as an actor, but I'm like 5 filters away, meaning that character goes through, has a script, has a writer, has a director, has a cinematographer, has an editor who gets to kind of do whatever they want with it. But if I'm working with a human being with no filter, and we're one-on-one, and they're open, honest, and vulnerable, and you see that epiphany, it's unbelievably rewarding. So that helps me feel like, wow, I do have meaning, because I've struggled a lot for many years not having a purpose. When the industry really, really slowed down for me, I'm like, wait, well, nobody, this is what the language I would use. We would talk about, you see, I've already trained my mind working with Ari.
Stop. I'm like, don't say it. Don't say it.
And when we're conscious of this, when I work with someone to begin up, we talk about self-awareness. No judgment, because we're easy to go, oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so lazy. Why didn't I get to the gym today? I can't. Why wasn't I a better mother? Why wasn't I a better father today? Why did I yell at my kids? Why was I so short and impatient? Right? All the voices that resonate for us, right? Or even if you're a kid, why don't I fit in? Why am I not like them? That comparison, criticism, and complaining, that is our inner voice. But once we become aware of that inner noise and go, okay, let's do this without judgment, because it's going to be kind of ugly. And I was about to say, which I used to say for years, nobody wants me. I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too that. Nobody's interested in me anymore. That kind of, all that language I would repeat, which is my inner monologue. So if any of you here came to me and said, wow, do you think I'm too old to do this thing? Do you think I'm too? If I was using that language for myself, I would never use that for another human being. But yet right? We all do this, by the way.
We all do it.
Look in the mirror and go, oh my God, I'm so this. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy enough. But my sense of self-worth was really built on the industry and what other people thought of me, right? And if they didn't want me, that really cut to my sense of self-worth. So I had to discover that, to go, wait, and this is where I'm a real big advocate of not looking outward for validation, love, truth, value, honesty, integrity. If you're really looking for that in humanity and people, we all are, right? Someone who's honest and trustworthy, have integrity. Are you that for yourself? And some people go, no, right? Why don't you trust yourself? Well, because I said I was going to eat healthy this month and I didn't do that. So you lose a sense of self-trust, and that takes time to build, of course, but you can see that cycle. And we get caught up into it easily if we're not just simply, at the very least, becoming self-aware.
I love this, and it kind of leads me to the whole everyone needs a coach. We all need a coach, because there's so many voices and so many. I mean, we just need the tools. We need the tools, and we need the consistency for whatever that is. Whether it's your issues. I mean, we all have issues. I don't care if it's the lack of exercise or the workaholic or all those things. We need those people to help encourage us and keep us in the right frame of mind, the right phrasing, all of it that goes with it.
Yeah.
So I love it. And I love that you guys have so you've got the retreats coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Couples retreats, May 6th and 7th, right?
Yep.
Michelle, it's pronounced retreat.
Oh, retreat. I'm from Australia. You can say retreat.
A retreat.
Retreat.
It's a
A
retreat.
retreat.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though, right?
Yeah.
A retreat back into ourselves.
Retreat. Yes, that's what it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so it's this coming May 6th and 7th, 2023. And like I said, the May 6th is the immersive couples retreat. And we are having a little gathering afterwards with some companies we collaborated with. Some awesome gift bags from products from Ask Us Beauty. And then of course Adora has her incredible scents and things like that, and we'll have music and stuff afterwards, and it'll be a really, really fun event, and you'll get to know, and like I think, as we talk about, is meeting somebody or meeting couples that might become lifelong friends, and or you just get an incredible, which is the whole point of the journey, is to get an incredible experience and to create a better relationship with yourself, your spouse, and then of course if you're single, with yourself and finding that love for you, so you can find more elsewhere.
Guess who you're gonna meet there, though. I mean, like, it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be, could be a surprise guest. I'm not sure, but just guess who you're gonna meet. I promise you'll meet this person. You know where I'm going.
You.
Absolutely. You're gonna meet yourself.
Yes.
You're gonna have an intimate conversation, intimate experience with you, right? And wow, and to be vulnerable and to see the raw side. I mean, we're not getting like down and dirty in a way, but if someone is like, look, I'm really struggling with this, because it's engaging, right? We're not talking like I'm going to talk, or Dora's going to talk. We'll talk and speak, but I want to engage, because everyone has such a unique journey on creating their own unique path. But how amazing is it to meet your true self along the way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it
So
too.
So you can go to the soulinstitute.co and just click on the retreats, and it's the two top retreats, Manifest Your Soulmate, and the second one is the singles retreat below that. And so they're in Malibu, or close to Malibu. It's Agora Hills in California, and this amazing house called Casa Muse, and it's a beautiful environment. So it's just it's deep in the hills of Agora Hills, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah,
it's tucked up in a little hill there. It's beautiful. It's a home, so it's not like you're going to a corporate room. It is in a beautiful, beautiful home with a beautiful setting.
Yeah, and then we have a save the date in October in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any of you want to come and save the date? We'll talk about that more later. October 27th, right?
Yeah,
Shawn?
that weekend of like 26th, 27th, 28th, we're still shaping some things, but I see like a great little intro night on the 26th. I see a little retreat on the 27th, and I feel it all.
Yeah.
We're excited to collaborate with you all.
Awesome.
I'm really excited about that.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. We're excited. We want all of our, watchers and listeners to, receive this that we talked about today. Receive it, because you really do need to think about, am I investing in myself, and asking those questions. And this is a great investment in you.
Oh,
absolutely.
Well said.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. And if you need any more information about, mine and Shawn's journey, and all the things that we've built together as a couple too, is just we've learned so much from each other and grown so much, and developed just such a really wonderful relationship. And it's not always easy. We're 10 years together this year, and we're just really excited to share with people part of our journey and how we got here, and how we made it through as a couple as well. So we're, we get it, and we get the journey is hard. So, but any more information you want to talk to us too, you can go to alohalifecoaching.com also.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff on your website. I I was
you.
deep diving the other day, and I was like, wow, this is really good stuff. So
Thank you.
well, thank you guys so much for being with us today. And Ari, it was great to kind of throw back, your career and all the good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was a
it.
fun journey. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Michelle, thank you too.
I love you. And Shawn, I
Love
love
you
you.
too.
I love you. I mean it. I love people who are in it, man. Like right at the heart space. And so I'm excited about actually seeing each other in person.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate this.
All right. Thank you guys so
Okay.
much. And thank you, listeners.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram at She's a 10 times 5. You can click on the link in our bio to listen to all of our previous episodes, as well as check out our live video interviews over our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, pretty much wherever else you decide to listen to your favorite podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe.